And she got the dog. Welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to Talk That Talk. Man, I know we are on here extra later than what we would usually be on here, or at least getting started. But let me go ahead and introduce everybody. We got Rick.
Yo, what's good? Quan, why you got that mess on, man? Anyway.
We got Quan.
What's up, everybody?
We got Maya and her dog.
With the bow rat thing.
Yeah. The kids will
And
period.
special guest today, we got Sebring.
What up, though?
What up, though?
All right, so
Julian, before you get going, bro, I got to give a special shout out, bro, because my homegirl, we grew up together. She my rookie sister from the Legion. She gave me a beautiful message, man, since she supports our show and all, bro. So I got to give a big shout out to my girl, Tina Johnson. Back in the day, her name was Tina Ellis. She played clarinet in the Legion when we were in the Legion. But she's my rookie sister, man. We've literally grown up together, man. We went to middle school, high school, college, everything together. And she supports the show. She's a big fan, man. She watches every week. So, Tina, want to give you that shout out. Thank you for supporting what we're trying to do here.
Dope. Appreciate it. Let me go ahead and do it right. There we go. Yeah. So, like I said, we get started extra late. It is what it is. We got to keep moving. We got to keep the show going. But before we get started, of course, the first thing I want to do is actually talk about last week. Did anybody get or watch any of the games or any of the battles from last week?
I saw what was it? Fam versus Fort Valley, I think it was. Who was it? And that was a S show.
It was a shit show.
Yeah, I tried to be nice here, man. I don't want to.
It was a double deduction.
Right. Yeah. Oh, Fort Valley. Yes, it was. They are terrible.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Got to keep it real. Remember, we are unfiltered, unscripted.
Right. That shit sounds terrible. Fort Valley, do better. Fam, like that was like the beating somebody you already knew you could beat. And then I watched that Kentucky State and Tennessee State, bruh. Kentucky State was on that ass at the beginning. Can we admit that?
Most definitely.
But I gotta say this: all small band directors, there is a point where you need to tell your band, I don't care how much y'all want to play, time to go. Because they get the show going. The first two songs were very strong. That third song, the baritones was out of tune as hell, and everybody started following suit, and it just got progressively worse. And Tennessee State, just Tennessee State. But they're gonna have to get off that damn Loki. They didn't play that thing every time you see him. Oh, we're gonna hit you with this Loki. Like that, you didn't hit it. All right, we got it. It's good.
Hey man, don't rain on their parade, man. That's what they do.
Move on from that, Loki.
All right. Did anybody else see any of the games or battles and have any comments from
I
any?
didn't watch nothing, brother. I had a gig last weekend and I was in the middle of nowhere in Charlottesville playing for some hunters, hoping I wasn't getting hunted.
You probably were. If you were in the middle of Charlottesville. Pitchforks and everything. They got some torches out there, bro.
And it's crazy because that's a beautiful part of the country, man. Up in the mountains, man. And you got few people that ruin it for everybody. But anyway, let's go.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Okay. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. Maya, you good?
Mm-hmm.
I know it's late now. Do you have cat ears on?
Boo boo kitty.
I just what your cat ears. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm sorry. I've been in and out, so I wasn't even paying attention. I'm terrible today. All right. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. So you already know how it is. We are unfiltered, unscripted. We're gonna have the uncomfortable conversations that some people just refuse to have. And so we got to get to that first topic. So let's go ahead and pull up that first topic. Got to get to my screen there. All right, there we go. So the first topic for tonight, I'm gonna start off a little light, okay? So we're always talking about the culture, right? And so the first topic that I'm going to ask is, can we actually define the culture? Can we define the HBCU band culture? I'm gonna go ahead and start from my right. Rick, you got it.
I think that's a mistake, man. I think it's a mistake to try to define it. I think we all, the people that have been in it, know. It's like one of those if you know type situations.
Well, hold up. Let me give a little bit more context, right?
Mhm.
I'm not just specifically talking about marching band, right?
No,
Because,
that's what I mean.
okay,
That's
go
what I
ahead.
mean. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna give a couple of examples. What the SWAT calls crabbing, we didn't use those words in the MEAC. We had our rookie class. I got my rookie brothers and rookie sisters. Um, we all were consistent. We had to wear the white shirt and the black shorts and all that stuff on freshman year. Like a lot of those things, I think that's just as much as part of the culture as showing up to Win Ensemble and playing Ascension every damn year. Playing grade 3 music in college. So while that's why I say I don't think it's. I think if you know, you know. If I tell somebody that went to an HBCU, my rookie year, I had to wear white and black. They know exactly what I'm talking about. If you are at any HBCU, there are certain things we all play net. Every university got a version of net. Even though Norfolk State started. So yeah. I think that the culture itself doesn't need to be defined. I think we just all exist in it. And I think that overall, I think that's the reason why our culture gets jacked so much is because so many people have access to what we do. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one thing I love about the Legion, man. Like, I had my experiences in the Legion, both good and bad. But one thing I can say about the Legion is the Legion will always be the Legion, no matter what. 20 years from now, 20 years back when I was in the band, the Legion is the Legion. The only thing that changed was the way of the uniform. So I think to define the culture, it's tradition, it's love, it's appreciation for good music. In some instances, depending on what school you go to, it's good musicianship. And overall, I think the biggest thing is the relationships that you build in these bands. Me, you, Sebring, we all march together. So, and to this day, 20 years later, we still good friends. We talk all the time. I get a good arrangement. I shoot it to Sebring. See, take this up, bro.
You sound like you never gonna hear that shit.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, no, I think that's definitely, man. I want to be short on that. I think that to define the culture, I think it's easy, but I think we need to protect it. So I think that in general, I think black band culture in particular is love, appreciation for good music, and relationships that you build, man, and having your little traditions depending on what band you're in. That's it for me.
All right. Maya, can you define the HBCU band culture?
I mean, I agree with it. I think it's something that is very hard to define. Whether we're talking about just
Hold on, Maya. Hold on. Turn your speaker down just a little bit.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better. You got it.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying, I did it do it again?
Yeah, it did. A little bit.
What about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we good. We good.
Okay, yeah. I agree with Brian. I think that it's something that is hard to define. If we're talking about HBCU band culture, just HBCUs in general, I think it's boisterous. I think that it's protection. I think that it's rich. I think that it's entertaining. And I think that it just sums up the Black experience as a whole, whether we're talking about music, whether we're talking about entertainment. I just think it Blacks in general on our livelihood. We're prevalent. We very much demand a presence. But like Brownie was saying, like it's very easy for our existence to be stolen or taken and broken apart and broken down. So just us in our daily lives, us in general. So, but I mean, in general, I mean that takes that a whole different way. But in essence, it's historic. It's just, if you know, you know. I mean, like, we can take that a bunch of different ways, but if you know, you know. And if you are, it's an honor to be a part of it.
All right. Quan, can you define the HBCU band culture?
Yes and no. I mean, of course, it's subjective, pending your experience. I did appreciate Rick's correlation between the same process but different terminology. I think we all have experienced that, regardless if you're a crab, a rookie. You know, we understand about upperclassmen or old heads, like we understand that. Now, I must say though, for the Black college experience or HBCU band culture, I think you can actually, it's a beautiful place to find yourself while you're actually redefining who you want to be, if that makes sense. The relationships, of course, but if I had to sum it up, it's something about the HBCU, about like the ancestral, a spiritual experience like that you cannot explain. When you look at those halls of academia from some universities in the areas being slave plantations to places where we're becoming 1%ers of doctors, it just does something for you. And specifically for, Prairie View, we was always taught, you don't walk on the grass. That means something. If you have the opportunity or privilege of pledging like that rich history of lineage, that means something. Because the truth is, we still suffer from post-traumatic slave syndrome. So having a sense of knowing where your people started something or an organization, like that means a lot to us, and always wanting to keep that tradition in a positive manner, as well as recreating it and getting better. I would define it as the HBCU college experience and culture.
All right. Sebring, can you define the HBCU band culture?
That's a tough question. When I think about trying to define a culture, I'm trying to think of what is common amongst every HBCU band program. And if I have to say what's different about what we do versus what other cultures may do, is using band as a true life educational technique or tool. Meaning good band, bad band, big band, small band. We learn a lot of the same lessons in band. You learn how to be responsible in band. You learn how to be on time in band. You learn how to step out of your comfort zone in band when you don't really like to dance and they put you on the front line. I learned leadership in band. Y'all two know my story. I was thrown in that position. Nobody, I wasn't expecting it. Here, it's yours. Take it and go with it. And guess what? It was supposed to be Rick's. But guess what? I had to figure it out on the fly, but I cannot replace those lessons. And everywhere that I go, in my personal life, business life, I meet leaders that were made in band. Like, oh, you march with such and such, and I can see it all over them when they start to speak, when they start to present. We know how to fake it to make it. I have never taken a job that wasn't completely over my head. I'll never know what I'm doing. I'll figure it out. But I learned that in band. So I think that is what I would say is HBCU band culture. And that goes for the jazz programs. That goes for the wind ensemble. You learn so many life lessons through the things you have to learn in band that you carry through the rest of your life.
Okay. So very, very good answers from everybody, right? And so there is a follow-up question, right? So we talk about, you all gave some very, very great things. And in talking about that, I also want to look at the totality of the band culture, right? And when we look at the comparisons, there have been many of us who have said we have left our universities unprepared, right? So then in your definition of HBCU band culture, can we also ask the question, have we set the bar too low? Quan, since I saw you smiling, have we set the bar too low? If and let me kind of give you a little bit more preface to that. In a lot of our HBCU band programs, our biggest concern is the marching band. So have we set the bar too low? Quan.
Man. Yes, and no. And I only can speak about my experiences, and I don't want to speak as if I know the ins and outs of a collegiate program. So I'll say yes because I realize you really become a better musician and teacher in concert band. Like that is your real, like you get to teach. When it comes to marching band, you're there to entertain. And now that I've gotten older and now that I'm a band director, I see the plight of quote unquote Dr. Lee from Drumline. Like I understand his fight. And it's an unfortunate dichotomy, but when it comes to like HBCUs and like those music departments, a lot of the time they're trying to build the person. And sometimes you miss the mark on the musicianship. And then you hope and pray that the instruction that you invested into that student, like y'all was saying earlier backstage, has enough withedness to be like, I'm going to seek this knowledge wherever I can find it. And we don't get it, kind of like during those swaddling and coddling days at the HBCU, because they're focused on making the person better. So the question for me is like, really, what bar are you trying to meet? Because if you're trying to build better human beings for the world, I think we exceed that expectation every time. But if you're speaking about purely from a musician standpoint, well, we do miss the mark. I can speak for that myself. Y'all shared that for your experiences, and then I see what's transpiring right now as we see fit. So that question, I hate to ask you a question with a question, but what bar are we really trying to make?
That's a good question. I would add to that, you have to figure out how to balance professionalism versus what is Black culture, and that's family. So when you are being strictly professional, there is no personal relationships. I have been in a supervisory role for over 10 years now. My staff have a relationship with policies, right? But in that HBCU culture, because we're family, it's hard for you to be as cutthroat as the professional world is, right? And so in other cultures, as you're saying, Julian, you either make the bar or you don't. You're out of school. In HBCU culture, I'm going to see you graduate. I'm going to get you through. I got band directors that used to let kids live at their house. You know this, Julian. Used to let them move into their own personal homes. So it's hard to have that level of accountability that you speak of as far as meeting the musicianship bar. The other side of that is being able to create a competitive environment. Because really the bar of the other schools is the other kids. If I come in as a freshman and I'm in the top 10% of my section playing wise, it's kind of hard for you to push me. If I come in as a freshman and my applied teacher tells me to play a minor scale and I play all three versions of that minor scale, he says, oh no, freshmen only play the natural version. You think I'm going to the practice room after that? I'm already 2 years ahead of your syllabus. As opposed to saying, see, but I'm glad you can do that. Let's move on to something else. Let's talk about these modes. Let's do, that's not what I got. What I got was, oh no, you're a freshman. You just played the natural version. Well, I've been playing all three versions since the 10th grade. My band director in high school happened to be obsessed with scales. Thank the Lord. So It's kind of hard to say. I 100% agree with Quan. We are producing amazing individuals. As I just said, band has taught people so much about life and allowed us to grow as individuals so much. We have not been able to successfully create that environment of competition. The standard is set by a couple of different things. Band directors got a lot of pressure on them to put out a product on Saturday. So you got to balance. Do I want these kids to grow, or do I need to get this product right in 5 days? Because if I'm challenging my kids, the product ain't always going to be right. We've all seen that. That solo you play it for a festival won't write that first week. But guess what? I got to put a show out here on Saturday. So what am I doing? I'm coming in the barrel. I'm saying you can't play that run unless Johnny one noted. You play every other note. You play every other note, and we got to run. As opposed to saying the standard is you play the run, son. So you got to find that balance as well, because administrations want a band out there on that field. They don't really care about who the best player in the world is. They don't care about who's seating first at these conferences. They don't care about nothing. They don't know nothing about that. What they know is how many tubas you got out there in the field, big horns. Ooh, the band look big because you got 30 tubas. And how loud, fast, or high you can play. Those are the, I want loud, I want fast notes, or I want high, and I'm happy.
All right. Cool. Rick, have we set the bar too low?
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but yes. This question is not about great people. This question is about preparedness when you go out into the market, in my opinion. But I don't think it starts at the university level. I think it starts at the secondary level. If I'm a university director and the only students I have to choose from is students that only know 4 to 12 major scales and didn't have, that band rating that Steve had growing up, that's the people I have to choose from. It's a reason why these small bands exist, because all the talent goes to the big bands. So if I'm prime example, Elizabeth City, Juliet's one hell of a teacher. But in that area, if I'm a kid in Chesapeake, I'm going to Norfolk. I'm going to A&T, one of the big bands in the area, especially if I'm super talented. So you have a teacher like that who's an exceptional teacher who has to, make magic out of I don't want to say nothing. I mean, obviously she has some talent because she's able to put a band on the field. But I guarantee you what it sounds like at the beginning of the week at her school is different than what it sounds like at one of the bigger schools.
You drink some water.
So I think that secondary schools have to do a better job of preparing students for the next level. That's the first part. The second part is once we get these great people and, or these projects to the university level, it's okay to push people. And I think that's the part that we miss, but it's 2 parts. I always criticize teachers, but I know for a fact that there was a lot of people around us when we were in school that just weren't good enough to be there. And I think that's the problem, that we don't want to say that out loud. We want to build good people. We want to build good character at the expense of our band. I promise you, if you can't play them scales, you ain't going to UT. You can be a great person all you want, or I can want to build you, but if you can't do what I need you to do to be able to job, you're not going there. And I think that's that's the second part, is that teachers have to teach better, but students have to be willing to be a part of a rigorous program. If you're taking a music major's load, you're taking on average 20 credits a semester. And that 20 credits is 10 classes. I know because we did it almost every semester at Norfolk. So the average student who's taking 2 or 3 credits for 12, or 2 or 3 classes for 12 credits, we're taking 10 classes. And the rigor of that program, you either can keep up with it or you can't. And I think that's a conversation that's not had enough. The reason why Black people of the past flourished is because they understood that the odds were against them and they had to be better in order to live up to those standards. I did a lot of research when I first started this doctorate program on early HBCU band programs. HBCUs exist because Black folks couldn't go nowhere else. So all the exceptional Black talent was at these universities. And there was a reason why back in those days, Norfolk was playing Lincolnshire Posey. You know what I'm saying? Like I've heard the comments about how Mr. Fears took the band to IMA and played Lincolnshire Posey. We wouldn't even glance at that music. A lot of people don't even know what that is at the HBCU band level. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's the problem, is that we have to have a standard that is high as a college/university level group. If you're in a wind ensemble in college and you're playing anything by Robert W. Smith, then you should go up to your band director and say, why are we playing this? Why are we not playing music that is more challenging to put us at a level that we should be? Colleges should be playing grade 6 music. And then you ask the question, Julian, just to answer your question about marching bands. The reason why marching bands are so important is because it's the cash cow. That's where all the money is. They bring the money into the music programs, usually at these levels. The most money comes in through the marching band. The most students come in through the marching band. When I was at PV, we staffed the whole music department, like every ensemble. All right. There was no private lesson. I mean, a couple of them did, but there was not a large presence of private lesson teachers having to go recruit. Why? Because they knew every year we were bringing 120 freshmen in the door. So I think that like Stephen said, there's a large weight on the shoulders of college directors. You know, I say this all the time. I'm associate director of my band. Only about 20% of what I do is music. 20, maybe even less than that. Most of it is making sure the band's in the right spot, starting on time, have food at the game, have water, make sure that the color guard has the American flag. So when we play the national anthem, I don't get an email that next day saying, why wasn't the flag on the field? That's my job as a college director, not, you know, creating this great art 24/7. Like that just doesn't happen. So I think, like Sebring said, that it is there's many facets to the question. But yes, we have set the bar low. And in order for our universities to actually become relevant in the music education conversation, we're going to have to set a new standard where our students understand, like Quan said, that musicianship is built in the wind ensemble, not playing Sweet Love in the march band.
Oh, Sweet Love.
Oh my God! And look, that thing is just burnt in my memory, man. We played it all so damn much.
I like Sweet Love. So
I did too. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, whatever. Well, I ain't. We gonna get on that. Maya, have we set the bar too low?
I mean, yeah, and I think without having to take away from all the value that you all have provided thus far, I mean, essentially, I think the question has been answered time and time again. But what I will add is I think that it's been set too low because at the end of the day, it's accepted, right? So we talk about marching band or that being the holy grail or the number one based off of entertainment value or whatever the case may be. But I think that goes to what we've talked about in past weeks. If we attribute the thought of, okay, so my job is to put out a show on Saturday. If I don't do that, what happens? What are the true repercussions, right? The people from YouTube University, they're going to go and post their bad comments. We may get yelled at when we get back in the band hall. The executive leaderships or whoever, they may send an email, this, that, and the third. But then what? We back to it. It's the same cycle over and over and over again. But in regards to what you were saying in terms of not being prepared, that same unprepared nature begins to trickle through and through and through, right? So I went through my college years. I was not prepared to be able to mesh or to be able to teach the next generation. So when I do become a band director of the next generation or whomever, when I become a music educator, the lackluster or inability to be able to teach or be able to revolutionize the music nature in general, it just becomes to have a cycle over and over and over again. So now we're not being pushed to the next level. Instead of progressing, we're regressing because at the end of the day, there's no additional the education piece is not there. The awareness is not there. The willingness is not there. The heart is not there. And again, that's just going to keep us on the same playing field. So, I mean, I think that just kind of just sums up, again, what we've been talking about and what you all have already added.
All right. Cool. Some very good responses on that. Yeah, I have nothing to add. You got something?
Yeah, think about this. Think about it like this, bro, because this question is interesting. Majority of the black doctors in the country come from where? HBCUs. Majority of black engineers come from where? HBCUs. Obviously, there's a standard on these universities. So why is that standard different for them to be able to save somebody's life and do a job that's, in my opinion, a lot harder than playing a concert B flat? You know, why is it acceptable at the HBCU level to have a program of rigor there, but with what we do, we can play grade 4 music and grade 3 music and be satisfied with that? Like that, I think that's I really question that, and it's a challenge for me because there is so much black excellence on the HBCU level. Prairie View is an agriculture and mechanical university. You know, like they have so many great programs on that campus. The English building was brand new when I went there. The music building was one of the oldest buildings on campus.
Still
So I
is.
think that raises another. I think that raises another question, which is investment. Is it the right investment? Well, I'm gonna throw millions of dollars at the marching band, but the fact of the matter is, the students that leave there, some of them will do marching band for the rest of their life. Man, that'll be their career, you know, and that's fine. You know, I didn't want that, but I just think it's challenging for me to understand, like Norfolk State, the nursing program. We know how massive that nursing program is. They built a whole brand new building for them on campus. You know what I'm saying? So that program's a great program, and so many nurses in Virginia come from that program. Why can't the same investment be made in the Legion, who has the oldest building on campus?
But I think you kind of answered that question earlier, Rick. Like, unfortunately, they look at musicians and dancers. They look at us. We're merely entertainment,
Right.
you know, and that's the unfortunate thing. And it's kind of like that stepchild to be like, oh, come here and dance for me, dance for auntie, and then we dance for him. Now go to bed, you know. And that's unfortunately how they treat us. They treat us like we're magicians instead of musicians. Like they don't see, you know, the hours and hours of practicing this particular craft for a 7-minute, 8-minute show. You've possibly put in 40 hours for 8 minutes, you know. And they don't get that, and they don't understand that. So, you know, and I think that's a lot of HBCUs. I think one of the like premier HBCUs for music programs at that time, I think was Howard, when like Donny Hathaway and them, they were there.
And
But
Irving.
yes, but outside of that, like what music program was just like awesome? I mean, of course, they say back in the day, Dillard for their jazz program, but
FAMU, Southern, Mississippi Valley was a powerhouse for a long time. Core style HBCU band. A lot of people didn't know that. Played grade 6 music. There were a lot of programs, bro. Yeah. I think that's the problem. We sell ourselves short. The way our programs sound like right now are completely different than what they used to be. And you can go back and go ahead, bro. I don't want
to. No, you're fine. And but I think that's some of the problem, because everybody can, you know, give praises to Dr. Greg's, to Dr. Sanford's, and those people. But a lot of those legends, unfortunately, are passing. And then what those individuals that took from them, we've turned it and honestly pimped it and then put it on social media. So people really don't know and understand those people's ideologies and precepts, because it's all about, like we say, it's about playing fast, playing high, getting your numbers up, and who has the most clout. Like, not being ugly, you have some band directors are getting jobs off of clout.
Absolutely.
Not even experiences on their resume.
How many times you can get your face in the camera?
I mean, so like when you think about all that, I mean, I agree with selling ourselves short, but people like you and I and the people that have these conversations, we're the weird ones. We're the haters. We're the ones that nah, bro, they just hating. We're the ones that's looking stupid, you know. But I mean, Noah did too until it started raining. I mean, and eventually, I think that's what's going to end up happening again. But
I guess my question would be, what's the solution? Because we've been in this cycle for a long time. The only thing I can think of is you finally get a team of like-minded individuals at one university. But then that one university can only affect an entire culture so much.
Well,
but I'm talking about an entire team of like-minded individuals, not just that one professor that's going hard in paint. Because what happens, they do really amazing for 2 years and then they get burnt out. I watched it happen in Norfolk.
Yeah.
but I would also, and let me just, this is just my thought. If you put it that way, I would also say that we got to stop giving the voice to the people who don't matter. Too many people who don't have any much investment in this, in stock in this, have the biggest voices. And we've had this conversation on the show before. If you ain't never marched a lick or picked up a horn or even graduated with a music education degree, then no one should be taking advice from them saying that this sounds good or this sounds bad. I'm sorry. I mean, you can have a personal opinion, but you have no stock truly invested. You ain't seen a concert hall and sat in the seat. You can't play a B flat. You ain't seen a field, but yet we let these people have the biggest voices.
But you can't even say that, Julie, because there's a lot of music majors out here that if you spelt the word Timbre, the first thing they're gonna say out of their mouth is timbre. and they're music majors.
That's true.
Like this is why this question is crucial, man. I want to go back to what Sebring said, which is the solution. The solution is stop saying that something that sounds good is that white mess, which is what we heard all the time at Prairie View. Sounding good is not just specifically white. And that's the problem with our community. Anything that goes against the mold, the band that doesn't sound Southern is white. Timber, Jordan, you stupid. Timber. like that's where we are, man. Anything that goes outside of the norm is considered to either be white or less than, like Sebring just said. Like we can't get out of our own way to even get better. Like Norfolk went down there and put foots in everybody when it came to technique and sound. I wish the show was a little more exciting, but Norfolk went down there and made a statement. We are better than you. We play better than you. Our drum line will play circles around you. Our dancers dance with technique. Meet us on the 50. We used to say that all the time in Norfolk when we were in the band. I'd like to make an announcement that I would like the trombones to meet me on the 50s. That's all. Have a nice day. Like that competitive inertia doesn't exist anymore. We either sound like Southern or you're not good. And I hate to keep giving them so much energy, but the fact of the matter is they are the trendsetters in HBCU band right now. So to answer Sebring's question, the first thing is get out of our own way. Secondly, recognize what you don't know. I know I don't know everything about music, but I constantly try to educate myself and become smarter in our field and more informed on like new technologies and stuff that are going to help me become a better teacher. And that same thing needs to happen with HBCU band. Why the hell are we doing a dance routine in every show? And the crowd just be sitting there like, oh, here we go with this again. Let's go out there and coon. Or you go out there and you go to to play the University of Illinois or Nebraska or whatever, and you go out there and you do the dance routine. Oh, look at them dance! Here we go. That's the part of the show to get the most credit. Right?
Are you saying you don't like dance routines?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Oh. My goodness.
Let me offer this though.
Culture now. You're going against the culture.
Let me offer this, Rick. I think that the answer might be even more basic or fundamental than that.
Yeah.
I think the number one step is finding people who give a damn about the kids.
True.
Most of it is just people just checking the box.
Yeah. Let me get this check.
You're not really here for the student.
Yeah.
You're here for the check.
Yeah.
And if you really cared about the kid, because let me ask you this. Are we putting out individuals to have careers in music, or are we putting out band directors? Because a band director ain't the only thing you can do with a music education degree.
Yeah.
We got people who are, and Norfolk has a rich tradition in growing student arrangers. I will say that's something we're really good at. But guess what? it takes me forever to convince a kid that there's no such thing as a marching band arranger. That you can go out here and make a career in Broadway because these cats are just reading charts. Ain't nobody listening to this stuff. They showing up to rehearsal the day before the gig and reading a chart. Well, guess what? Somebody got a contract to write that chart. Go to Vegas and be a musician and think you're going to go down there and you can't read because there ain't nobody giving you no music to tell you to listen to it and learn it. Go to Tennessee and try that. But we don't teach our students that that's a career path. We teach marching band directors. You can be a band director, you get a degree, you go get you a band, and that's what you do. And there are so many different avenues you can go and so much money out here that you can be getting. But all we teach is go get you a band. We don't really care enough about the students to grow them and give them options and say, hey, you are capable of doing X, Y, and Z. You have options. We don't.
Yeah. No, that's real, bro. Yep. That's real.
That was a perfect way to shut that one down.
That was real.
Ain't nothing I can say on that one. So let's keep it going. Welcome, everybody. If you're just joining us, welcome everybody to Talk That Talk, where we have unscripted, unfiltered, uncomfortable conversations about music, education, band, HBCU band culture, and more. Please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. All right, so go ahead and subscribe. And if you're in here right now, if you've stepped in here, smash that like button. It don't take long to click a like button. All you got to do is walk in, click the like button. There's a lot of people who's watching on Facebook right now. There's a couple of people who's watching on YouTube. Go ahead and smash the like button while you are here. All right, get these likes up. Get these likes up.
Ryan, what you sipping on? What am I sipping on over there? What's in that little cup over there by that little tree?
That's what's up.
So got that
finest water.
Artesian.
I got some drink waiting for me on deck, bitch.
I got that.
Anyway, but let's move on to our next topic. So, something was brought up to me today, which was a continuation of a conversation that we had, and I'm gonna have to say it. And I don't really care. So, a couple of years back, there was a video that surfaced of a rehearsal, and Bethune-Cookman's band room, and shout out to this brother. Don't get me wrong, he's producing a hell of a product, but Donovan Wells was cussing the hell out of a trumpet player, and
it was wind ensemble,
and it actually brought me to a thought that I had of some experiences that I'd had in the past, or at least even seen. And one of the conversations that I've had with a lot of people is the fact that we were taught in a very interesting way, and especially in HBCU band culture. And I'm not going to speak for the predominantly white institution because I don't know, but I know in HBCU band culture, it's been a very slave-like militaristic mentality when it comes to how we deal with our students. So my question on the floor, my next question is, have directors gone too far? Have directors gone too far? Sebring. You on mute, bro. I don't know if you're trying to talk or not.
Yeah, I was. I think it goes back to something I said earlier. I think it's about professionalism. I don't think we take a professional approach. I don't think we think we're like professors. It's almost too much family. Your cousin, your uncle, and them can cuss you out. You can't have a job. Your boss can reprimand you. He can't cuss you out. It's a big difference. And when we think about accountability from a family standpoint, we grew up, you getting spanking. And so now I'm proverbially spanking you. It's just not a professional atmosphere, and it would address some of the issues from the last topic. If we were more professional, we could kind of set the bar a little higher. We can set that standard because it is a relationship with the standard and not necessarily a personal relationship. Like I said, my staff have a relationship with policy. They don't necessarily have a relationship with me. So when I bring you in to reprimand you, I'm reprimanding you based off of a policy. Here's the black and white. Here's what it says you don't do. Here's what you did. Here's the consequence. Not, I don't like you, I hate your attitude, so I've been waiting to write you up. No. And we don't have that standard. We got that family thing going on, which can be good and bad. And that's one of the negatives to that, is that family atmosphere creates that uncle, auntie, cousin, them, I'm going to cuss you out because I love you mentality.
All right. Have directors gone too far? Maya. Now, Maya, for you, now we can talk band director, but we can also talk dance director too, because I have seen some dance directors hitting the straight pledge on a lot of these young ladies. So have directors gone too far?
That's a hard one because what do I start? So yes and no. I say yes because truly, we're talking about professionalism. We're talking about holding ourselves, holding our programs to a particular standard. And does cussing and fussing and whatever, does that align with that? No. However, well, it's a couple of different ways I want to take it. So we've seen videos of the same video. We've seen others of, like, we've even seen it in person, getting upset, yelling, screaming, whatever the case may be. We've also seen whites or, you know, at PWIs or whatever the case may be, at basketball games, coaches throwing the chair across the middle of the court, or, you know, breaking clipboards in half and doing the same thing. And it's just, oh, he's passionate. So is that same passion, do we still get that same recollection or that same acknowledgement because we're Black or because the way in which we do it? I think I get it. So just because we're able to, does that mean that it's the right? Is it right? Not necessarily, no. But is it part? I mean, honestly, we can just say, is it part of our culture from what we've known thus far, what we've been bred against, and what we have constructed the culture to be thus far? That is just one of those things that kind of goes hand in hand with it. Dance directors too, and I can even say I'm guilty. When I was captain, there would be times where shit just wasn't right, and you're gonna hear about it. You're gonna hear my mouth. Like, I'm gonna be cordial, but sometimes stuff comes out. Just like we're on here, we get passionate, you know, a cuss word, whatever may slip out. Like, is it right? No. Am I your mother? No. Does my mama talk to me like that? Not necessarily in my household, but to some, it's second nature. So they really don't understand the right or wrong from it, or it doesn't affect them in the same way. So there's so many different pieces to this. And to say that someone's gone too far, I think that there are times where you can go too far, but and then again, it's hard for me to say, well, it's all in the love. It's all in trying to get the show done. It's all in this, that, and the third. It's all in passion, but that still doesn't make it right. So I don't know if I can say yes or no. It just is. Like, I mean, I don't know. That's one I honestly don't know. I mean, I guess if I had to answer, I could say, yes, we've gone too far. But if we're going to say that, then we should hold that same standard to all bands, to all programs, to all extracurricular activities, and everyone should have that same repercussions if necessary, but we know that that's not going to happen. So that's what makes it a hard conversation to have, because I would like to say for my people, don't treat me like that, but also know in the workplace that it's to be expected. If my whomever cusses me out, it's not like I can go to HR and be like, hey man, they cussed me out. They're gonna be like, okay, and so what? Their hand is in the likelihood of whomever probably cussed me out or whatever. So it's just it's another one of those things, another ongoing cycle.
Okay. Rick, have directors gone too far?
Boo Boo Kitty, I was a perfect band director, was I? I ain't yell, I ain't scream, I ain't do none of that, did I?
I know I did. That's not my I've never done that to anybody.
You were very fair, Brownie.
There we go.
But my thing was this, like, and I used to tell the band all the time. I know they got tired of hearing it, but like, I purposely would stop, like, really try to stop cussing because I didn't like that dynamic that I had with the band. And I would say that all the time. I would even catch myself most of the time. If somebody really made me upset, I'm sorry, it was coming. And then I would say what I had to say, and then I would get out of it. But one thing, I think Maya hit it on the head. And Maya, like, just a brilliant answer. It's a shame, y'all. I'm ashamed to say what I'm about to say, y'all, to be honest. I changed completely, Maya. I got rid of all that cussing and stuff when I came to UConn. I haven't cussed. I haven't done any of that in about 5 or 6 years, Maya, in band. And it's big, and like I said, I'm ashamed to say it because of what Stephen was saying. I understood that there was a level of band here that was acceptable at HBCUs that is not acceptable here. And that makes me very sad because I allowed myself to treat my own people a certain way and then come to a white institution and completely act like a professional. So I think that's the part. I think because of the relationships, like Stephen was saying, it creates an environment where you're not just the band director, you're also mom and dad away from home. You're also the school counselor when something's going wrong. You're also the police officer when you got to break a fight up and a dude get his jaw broken. You know what I'm saying? Or, something like that. Like, that's your responsibility as an HBCU director. That is not the relationship I have with my students here. My relationship here with my students is strictly teach marching band, teach wind ensemble, teach whatever other classes that I teach, and go home. These students do not need me to be their mother and father because they got a mother and father that paid $30,000 to $40,000 for them to be able to go to the institution that they go to. Whereas with an HBCU student, it ain't no telling. We got a lot of wealthy African American kids that go to HBCU just because they want that experience. But there's also that kid, and we all know that one kid that's homeless but still in school. Or that kid that comes from a broken household but wants to do better. So I think as band directors at an HBCU level, it's hard not to go too far because you give so much of yourself to ensure the success of your students. Maya tell you, I never went home when I taught at an HBCU before 10, 11 o'clock at night, ever. There was not one night that I left that Prairie View before 10 o'clock. Because an hour after rehearsal, I was making sure all my girls got home safe. I would not allow my women to walk home by themselves because it's a lot of riffraff out there. And if that was the case, I would make sure they had somebody making sure they got home as dad, or having to deal with specific issues and making sure people aren't doing the wrong thing. Like, I think band directors at the HBCU level are asked to do more than other programs. So it becomes stressful, like Stephen said. You get burnt out, man, when a student comes into wind ensemble ill prepared and you're playing grade 5 music. Because the piece they were playing that he was missing the articulation of was Ride by Samuel Hazel. And there's junior and senior bands around this country playing that piece. And in his mind, I'm sure he's like, man, I got all this other stuff on me, and this kid decided to come to rehearsal unprepared. I'm going to lose my mind. Yeah. But Maya, that's the thing. So I think that brings up the second thing I want to say, and I'll get out, is as HBCU students, we have to understand the standard that's been set by our band director, and we have to meet that standard every day.
Yeah.
There are many instances where a lot of our students think it's okay to show up to rehearsal late, or show up to rehearsal without having practice, or show up to rehearsal 10, 15 minutes late, whenever they feel like it, and haven't warmed up. And then they're expected to play Ride, which is not an easy piece, at a high level. At my institution, if you show up like that, you're going to hear about it just like Maya said. But the expectation is that you don't do that. You know why? Because everybody in the ensemble is going to turn around and go. And that pressure is going to make you not show up and do that again. So once again, I'll say it's not just the band directors. It's the people that go to these institutions and the standard that's been set by the band director and then the student meeting that standard. But no way in hell should a band director be cussing at a student. Point blank, period.
Before I get to Quan, it made me think. So you talking about? Say what?
I said, or slapping a student.
Or so. Yeah, we gonna talk about that. But before I get to Quan, it just kind of made me think with what you said. Kind of goes back to one of the things that we were talking about earlier. Um, you know, the expectation it should start in the secondary programs, because if the secondary programs are allowing that to happen, then the students come to the programs or the university programs with that same expectation. But here's the caveat to that. The
Did
caveat,
you see her face? Did you
I saw
see
it.
her?
But the caveat to that, in my opinion, is, are these directors who are teaching these kids in these secondary programs coming from these HBCU programs without standards? So the question is it a cycle? So you look like you got a lot on your mind.
Am I muted? No. It's a cycle, but I'm going to tell you why it's a cycle. Because we're not professional. Let me ask you, I'm going to use Rick's point from earlier. Rick, what happened to you when you showed up to English class unprepared and you didn't read the chapter? You know what happened? You got an F. How many times you seen people get an F out of band? You ain't got to yell at these kids. It's a college course. You failed them. And the next time they're going to say, I got to have my stuff together. Because how many times have you signed up for a class and they say, oh, you taking such and such for chemistry? Don't play around with her. She'll fail you. You cussing me out, you slap me upside the head and you giving me an A. And then I go out here in the workforce and I don't understand this accountability system that we have going on. That's all it is. It's a lack of professionalism. Fail them. Set the standard elsewhere. Stop making this a family. Stop being my uncle and be my professor. And my professor is going to say, you were not prepared for class. There's a requirement for class. This is a lab course. You cannot complete it. You got an F. Not push them through and love on them.
Well, and playing test, Stephen. This is a lab that requires you to be able to perform at a certain level. So on Fridays, we're having playing exams on this piece of music. If you can't play it, you will receive an F. If you can play it, you will pass. Like, Stephen, man, you preaching that knowledge today, boy.
Okay. Got a soulmate on the show. Oh Lord. Hold up. Let me move mine real quick. All right, there we go. Now y'all together.
So, okay. This is an interesting one for me because I came from Townview, right? I came strictly from the direction of Dean Hill. I would like to say a legend in his own right. I would like to say a different type of director. I would also like to say, if we're just being totally honest, my experience at Townview, how many years did I march at PV? 4. I don't know, 4. I would like to say the majority of the. I don't want to say this. This is interesting. A lot. Some of my experience at Townview was higher than my experience or what was called of me at PV.
Bruh.
Now, don't do that. Don't add insult to injury now. And I mean, I went through 2 major band director changes. I went through the transition cycle. I went through 3 different dance director changes. But if we're talking about that whole cycle or cyclical type of impression, that makes me think who has the upper hand, or who does it lie on? Does it lie on the kids, or does it lie on the band director? Because, or is there like a mesh of the two?
But I think, Maya, just to respond to that very quickly, I think your situation is very different than anybody on the panel, because for almost 10 years in a row, academically, Townview was the #1 high school in the country. So students, so students that came there knew the rigor that would be.
By a landslide, my experience is far superior than the norm. So I'm very lucky to have had that. So again, yes, this is coming from a different type of perspective, but even with that, if we're going to cycle it back, how is it like 70-30 band director versus student? Is it 50-50? Is it 40-60? What is it? And then I think that's where we start to derive again, what is the solution once we figure out that one? Or is it even something that can be figured out in general because it is so subjective or potentially so subjective? I mean, child, I don't know. I would just have to say, listen, if some of these people would have had to go through the things, and not to say that it's not like we was getting our ass whooped, it wasn't nothing like that. But I've seen kids who had that lackluster, didn't really care, not motivated, who's got their act right really, really. And I don't know if it was his style of teaching. I don't know if it was just the aura. I don't know if it was the legend I don't know what it was. But to say like, okay, yeah, the kid has to come motivated with the willingness. I'm not necessarily so, because I've seen it with my own eyes that with the right impression, with the right teaching, with the right direction, things can definitely be changed, and you can definitely have a switch of 180. So, I mean, again, like most things, this is something that goes on and on and on. And there's different anomalies that go with it. And we still haven't got to Quan. Dang.
Yeah, I was about to be like, all right, Quan, you got it.
It's cool. I think you have to ask yourself, or if has band directors gone too far? The first question I was asked, so what is that culture at that school and that program to start with? I know for a fact I have already graduated and gone by then, but I'm pretty sure Rick talk. When y'all transitioned to PV, y'all possibly had to handle some people like say, bro, you gonna shut the fuck up in this. Like, I'm pretty sure.
No, I didn't.
You may not have, but the thing about a core of directors, everybody can't be the bad guy, but everybody has to have the same standard. Right. You know what I'm saying? So Rick might have been an uncle, you might have been an uncle. Hey, it's gonna be okay. Like that. And Rick might have been, man, fuck that boy. Come on, man. Like, I don't know how it was.
Yeah, I was.
You know what I'm saying? So, but also. There's a couple things that popped up in my mind. Number one was whatever high school that student attends, when he connects with that director, you already start to hear the war stories. First of all, like, you hear the war stories about that section, the quote unquote expectations, man, what this crabbing or rookie process is going to be like, so forth and so on. So that's number one. Number two, what I never saw the video that you're speaking of, but I must say this: if he was getting on the kid and it was that type of environment, doesn't make it right. What it does show me that is he has a passion, and I don't know if that culture was either established or he was establishing that culture of wind ensemble. But I could kind of honestly, as a director, understand like the why. And then my last point would be, how can I say this? You could get on the player like for that mistake or not being prepared, but don't get on the person. So it's a difference between like, hey, I'm checking your lackluster playing or lack of articulation or whatever the case may be, but I'm not going to belittle you as a human. I think if that director steps into that realm, yeah, you're going too far. But if I'm just getting on your ass because I know that you didn't practice, well, yeah, you deserve to be. You know what I'm saying? You deserve to be handled. But it's all in the context of, am I belittling you as a human being? And then also, how much am I actually building you up? Because there is a time and a place where I need to hold your hand and coddle you. Then there's another time where it's like, yeah, bro, I'm about to put this foot in your ass, like we're talking. So I think there's different, facets and scenarios for that. But then, I do want to add to Rick's point. He said when he changed his mindset when he went to UConn, at an HBCU, I think HBCUs is the one place that you can actually be you. So you will forever have a sense of familiarity because you see yourself in those students as well as you see what you used to be. And then you got to push them because I know what you're facing and I know what you have to become to even make it in this world. So there's going to be a sense of, familiarity. And sometimes you may have to curse that one kid out that came to band practice high. Because bro, you know better than what you're doing. So you're not going to understand. Now, yeah, I'm going to send you home. I'm going to send your ass home. I'm going to call your mama. And you're going to do these punishments when you come back or whatever the case may be. That's how it is. And, but try to stop cursing as much. I mean, real talk. I'm in a high school. It's like sometimes I got to pull a kid aside and be like, say, fam, blase, 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 blah. And leave it at that.
You said that's what you say. Blase, blase.
Yeah, I said that.
I mean, you made a good point. Like, I think that is part of the reason why people go to HBCUs, because it's the one place where we don't have to code shift and code switch. We got to code shift and code switch for the rest of our damn lives. Give us a little smidgen of time where we can really get to the real and really just be cool, or figure out what that is to be cool. Just like what we say, my mama made me, PV made me, right? My parents made me, or you all know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
While you're developing yourself, there's the one time, because you do feel a sense of family, you do feel a sense of camaraderie and all of that. So I mean, again, that goes to that kind of yes and no, because like you said, I mean, Brownie, I saw when he said that's the one place you can view you. It was like, I mean, touche. So that's hard.
I got a question for you, Rick, though. and please excuse me if it comes like I'm prying, but do you feel that transitioning to UConn as a Black man that attended an HBCU, that graduated from an HBCU, as well as worked and helped build an HBCU band program, number one, did you feel more pressure because, and I can speak for me, when I go into those realms, I feel like I represent HBCUs. I feel like I represent my race and my community. And we're going to be 1,000 on a real talk show. Sometimes you walk into those realms, even when you're with your quote unquote fraternity brothers, they be like, do you know this X, Y, and Z, and quote unquote try to test your expertise? Did you feel that going into UConn? And also, did that kind of like made you be like, at all times, I have to be professional, because if I mess up, it may halter or hinder another person's opportunity, a minority at this institution later?
Short answer to your question, man, yes. I felt that. I still feel that today. When I first got there, man, I was on a mission, because I knew my ultimate goal was that I wanted to get my doctorate. So I was like focused on that. So not only was I teaching, I was putting myself back in academia and stuff like that as well, because I was teaching like 2 or 3 classes at Prairie View as well. But, majority of my job revolved around the marching band. But I think a lot of that too, Quan, is the type of student that comes to that university. You know what I'm saying? I'm not getting a lot of people at UConn that are from South Oak Cliff. You know what I'm saying? Or, these underrepresented communities, at a collegiate level. That's the first thing. Like Seaver said, there is a standard that's set at a university like ours that's just different. I'll give you a prime example. When I was at Prairie View, the Black Foxes used to hate when I used to make them take them bonnets off. Used to get off at rest stops and at restaurants. And they used to beg, like, why do we have to do this?
Yeah, I remember that.
Not me. You never caught me in that.
Right. But my thing was, ladies, we represent the Black community. Right. When we going out the house looking like Aunt your mama with these things on, and y'all got right, that represents what we are as an institution, as a people. At UConn, I don't have to do that, because you cuss a student out at UConn, you can expect an email in your box the next day, because those students know their resources and they know their rights. They take up for themselves. I ain't gonna say the institution, but I've seen a band director smack a student before, like for playing too loud. I watched a band director smack a student before at an HBCU, and I was appalled. But this is a band director that has a lot of clout in the HBCU community. So that student didn't even react. He just didn't react. I think our students have been conditioned to be treated that way.
Mhm.
And I think that for me at UConn, I knew that wasn't the case. I knew that that wouldn't be allowed, and I knew that that wasn't the standard that was at that institute. So to answer your question, Kwan, yes, I did absolutely feel that way. But I think that as a people, we have to understand that, like you said earlier, Kwan, that's post-slave traumatic stress disorder. That thing's real, man.
It's real.
Teaching through intimidation. Teaching it's a very old school way of teaching because these people don't know how to teach really. I mean, that's the other part of it. These people don't know how to teach. So they teach in the way that they were taught because they weren't taught fundamentals in pedagogy. They don't know how to make a concert B flat ring and tune. They don't know how to tune a major chord by bringing the third down, depending on what, or up, depending on if you're playing a major or minor scale. They were never taught that. So what they say is, play that damn note and tune. That's the teacher. That's the teacher. The kid's sitting there looking at them like, I am. And they don't know how to fix it. So that's where I think that is, that to answer your question, Quan.
That's what's up, bro.
All right. Cool. Well, if you're just joining us, welcome everybody to Talk That Talk, where we have unfiltered, unscripted, the uncomfortable conversation about music education, band culture, and HBCU band culture and more. Please make sure that when you come in, as soon as you come in, hit that like button. It don't take much to hit that like button. I see a number of folks in here. We got to get these likes up. I only see a couple of likes. I want the likes to match the number of folks in here. So get these likes up. All right. We're moving on to the next topic, and it's going to be the final topic. It might be an uncomfortable topic, and if you ain't ready for it, I don't know, y'all. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so here we go. Last week, I purposefully made a statement about a young man who marches now at Alabama State, who marched at Jeff Davis, and he's the drum major. I purposefully made that statement. Now, I stand by the statement that I made, but there was a reason why I did that. Because we see this quite often. And so when I say we see this quite often, if you don't know who I'm talking about the young man, Justin, who was the drum major at Jeff Davis, who is now one of the drum majors at Alabama State. But when I say we see this all the time, even in Greek life, right? We see people who don't look like us, who aren't African American, but they come into a space that is affectionately, quote unquote, ours. And so one of the things that we see happening all the time is when that happens, we tend to try to give them like all of this praise, right? For doing it. Now, I'm going to say I stand by Justin only because I'm a drum major fan. I watch a bunch of drum majors. Like anybody who knows me, I love watching drum majors. So when I watch him as a drum major, like I said last week, he just gets it. There are a lot of people who have come into the space that, to me, were just doing it and they did it well. Love her, she did great, but Katie to me was just a girl on the dance team. But a lot of people gave her a lot of love. You don't know who Katie is, and it is what it is. All right. But me, Rick, and Seaver know who Katie is. All right. So the question on the floor is, do we boast different cultures for average work? Do we boast different cultures for average work?
Average work in our culture?
Yes. Average work in our culture. So when they come into our culture, we tend to glorify what they do, but it's literally just average. So do we boast different cultures for average work? Dang, I was gonna go with you too, Quan. I was gonna go with you first, but you ran from it. Rick. Oh, Sebring, you gonna go first? I saw you unmute.
I mean, I can't. The answer for me is no. If you're saying we, as do I observe it, I would still say no. I don't think it's a cultural thing. I think it's a different thing. I think about the honeybees. I think about anything that kind of goes
Oh, let's not talk
different
about
from
honeybees, man. Because
I'm just saying something that's different than the norm.
I get it. No,
be boasted when it's mediocre. Yes.
You brought up the honeybees. I got to put this on. I got to talk about this. Me, real quick, before you keep going. I am getting sick and tired of people trying to act like heavyset people can't do normal people shit. Like, I have a problem with that. Like, okay, so they got some extra meat on their bones, but if people can do a split, extra meat don't stop you from doing the split. Now, I also believe that they are put out there to exploit heavyset people. I don't really think it's they trying to act like they can dance, because if that's the case, then let them make the actual line. I think it's exploitation. But anyway, sorry about that, Seaver. Go ahead.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's about, I think that it's more so, and I'm using the word we because I don't feel this way personally, but I think as a culture, yes, if it's different or goes against the grain for that particular time frame before it becomes normal, it can definitely be mediocre and it will receive a lot of praise just because it's different. I don't think it's cultural. I don't think it's race driven for sure. Like I said, the honeybees are a great example of that. But just you doing something that is a little different and goes against the grain, sometimes it doesn't have to be all that good in order for you to sell it.
Okay.
But I don't think that applies to Justin. I thought the boy was a dope drum major. As far as looks, I don't know how he ran the band, but the way he looked, the boy had style.
Thank you. That's all I was saying last week. But Mario and Rick was like, I don't know, dog. All right. Anyway, Quan, do we boast different cultures for average work?
This people ain't gonna like this, but we boast any person or any other ethnicity outside of our culture that comes in, period. It doesn't have to be good or bad. It's just period. One, because throughout history, honestly, Black people, we're always welcoming because we know how it feels to be shunned. So we're always welcoming. So we don't want people to feel like us, so we welcome it. Now, when it comes to Justin in particular, Justin's a dope drum major, hands down. So we don't have to argue with that. I think, and honestly, when you see the interviews with Justin, he's very humble, and he really don't even want the attention. He's just trying to be a dope drum major, / trumpet player, whatever the case may be. That's about it. I think we boast them because so many times as Black folks, we're so arrogant, we feel like, hey, can't nobody else do it. And so then when we see him, we be like, oh man, look at that white boy do that. Like look at, come on, get it, Justin. That's our kind of aura or our vibe when it comes to that. But I mean, honestly, we welcome everybody. And then honestly, sometimes then we get mad when they take it. So it's kind of like it's a double-edged sword. We're welcoming to everybody, kind of like, they take things and they take the credit for it. Then we welcome them in, and then we don't protect it in ourselves. So I mean, we shoot ourselves in our own foot. Then we welcome those other cultures to shoot us in the foot, and then we don't protect it nor copyright it, to begin with. And that's a whole different story about copywriting and music and different things like that. I mean, from cadences and warm-ups and everything like that. I mean, I think we do it to ourselves.
All right. Maya, do we boast different cultures for average work?
I agree. I mean, I agree. Like, I'm not even sure what I can add to that. To be honest, is my answer yes. Aside from what you all have already said, I don't really know what I can add because, I mean, to me, like, you just laid it all out there. Now, if I think of something, I'll let you know. But right now, I'm not even sure what I can add.
I put like this. I'm gonna add to it. So we're talking about Justin. So a lot of us on this call are Greek, right? How many times? Like, I think it was a video, and this to you, Rick. Y'all had a frat brother that was Caucasian that was hopping. That's 1 million views. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so then the question comes, are you excited because it's the white dude doing it, or was it good?
Yeah, because as a bro, and you know, as an alpha, whenever we see a white bro out there training hard, and you know, it's like, yeah, yeah.
Or is it because they're the minority in that sector?
Yes, I think it's that because, but I also think if we're just gonna, I'm talking surely aesthetic, right? For me, it's a little bit different, right? Because as you stated, okay, sure, you could be out there doing this, that, and the third. I'm still gonna look at you whether you black, white, whatever the case may be. If it ain't good, then that shit ain't good. I just that's just how I feel. But yes, do we boast them? I don't know if it's boasting or more so giving a pass, or if those are synonymous. Because it's like, oh, look at them. Like we were saying, look at them monkey on the thing, whatever. They're doing something they're not supposed to be doing, and they're doing it and keeping up, or whatever the case may be. Is it average? Yes. Is it entertainment? I think it's entertainment. Maybe that's what it is. It's like, oh, okay, well, now we got somebody else who's out here by themselves, whatever the case may be. Yes, we do welcome them, like Quan said, but also it's like, look at the shoes on the other foot. We got somebody out here that's not where they're supposed to be. You know, they're the minority, and they're, you know, meshing, or, you know, whatever the case.
Prime example, Southern. How many years Southern real talk get the 2 or 3 big, you know, white boys and put them up there? Is that the same thing?
Exploitation.
Absolutely, that's exploitation, and they want that good of dancers, but they got houses.
You feel me?
Okay, Rick, do we boast different cultures for average work? I feel like you've been kind of he is unloosing this belt now. Because all right, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
So as a music historian, as a study of American history, this is a cycle of vicious misconception as people, American people, that is being perpetuated in my opinion, in HBCU band. We are making sometimes rude impersonations of one another. I want to use just the examples that you all have already given. When the honeybees go out there, there's a number of people sitting in the audience was like, wow, those women can dance. But majority of the people in the audience are laughing at them, not with them. To me, that's not a healthy thing. And we need to look at the band we're talking about. Alabama State. They're known for doing that type of stuff. Exploitation of large women. That young brother, Justin, he's talented. I can't take that away from him. I've never heard him play trumpet. So I can't say that's the reason why they wanted him so badly. But I guarantee you, him being a white dude that's a good drum major was part of it. So they can throw him out there in the front and just show him off to everybody. My issue is what Quan just said. It's kind of hard to say this, but in 2022, in March of 2022, I would have been an Omega for 20 years. When I came into Omega, I was 19 years old. I was over there lying to Sebring and them, telling them I wasn't pledged. But the whole time I was in that process as an undergraduate, 19 years old, I was being taught by my brothers that the traditions of what it meant to be an Omega. Growing out of the struggle of being 3 undergraduates at a university that did not want them because y'all's mess was already there. They said, go join that. We don't need that other stuff.
So you don't need it when you got alpha.
Yeah, whatever. But
first and
that was being pumped into us. Our history as Black people, our history as a fraternity that was built on friendship, not on, you know, academics or whatever. So if you don't share that experience, why does something like that appeal to you? You know, and I hate to say it this way, but it always comes off to me as being nosy. And it's the same thing, in my opinion, with the Black fraternities. I mean, the music fraternities and sororities. They didn't want us when they founded these sororities and fraternities, but we were able to switch the purpose of these organizations to meet the needs that we had as Black people at Black institutions. KK Psi with a touch of old gold. specifically for HBCU experience. So, and if you don't, I remember when I wore a KK size shirt with the old girl, and they looking at me like, why you got that on there? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it has a significance. Phi Mu Alpha, 1898. How many of them you think was like, man, I can't wait to get some black brothers in here? And then it was even worse because in the 15 whatever history of Phi Mu Alpha, there's been one person to ascend to an office as high as vice president or president. So I say all that to say, if we keep creating this environment where we're able to make fun of one another and appropriate each other's culture, it's going to create this vicious cycle that keeps happening. I'm sorry if I see that high school, Julian, we were at that band show and they pulled all the fat dudes out and the drum major rode the dude like he was a horse and they played Pony by Genuine. You remember that, Julian? And me and you were looking at each other like, how low can we go as a people where that we'll allow our young people to come because they're large to get on the ground and allow another grown man to ride him like he a damn horse? The problem is these band directors have no damn integrity. That's the problem. They do anything for chuck and jive boss to get the clap. That's what we are. That's where we are as people. That we'll just degrade our people and degrade our program just to get a clap. You know what gets a clap from me? When I hear a band do a crescendo together with no stick outs. That's what gets me off my feet. Or if I see dancers dancing with technique instead of going out there humping the whole damn thing.
Giving you the coochie thrust for 2
hours. I want my people to want better for themselves. This ain't about Justin. This is about what's right and what's wrong. I want him to have the best experience. Hopefully he got into school because he's a good trumpet player. If that's the instrument, I don't know what instrument he plays. Because his music education is not going to be how much he can thrust and spin a baton. It's going to be how he can teach somebody's student. Would you want your child to be in his band program? So I hope that in the grand scheme of, his music education and anybody that may not come to an HBCU as a Black person, understand the history and the lineage of these schools that you go to and respect it as such, but also go there to get a quality education, which at the end of the day is the most important thing. I went to Jackson because it was affordable and I got a quality education, not because I wanted to be J5, or whatever. Like, we got to get our damn priorities together. And I'm not saying that from people call me bougie. I'm not bougie, man. I just have high expectations for my people. And it's time for us as a people to expect higher and better from one another. So that's my answer, bro. It ain't got nothing to do with him being white. It has everything to do with the fact that they're exploiting that kid just because he can do something that everybody can go, look at the little white boy do what we do. And that's ridiculous. So that's my position on that, bro.
But everything, in my opinion, that you just said goes back to the original question of how we set the bar too low. It circles all the way back around to that.
Well, my answer to that was already yes. I gave it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you defended your
like, bro. Look at it. Let me just say this, Julian. Look at it. I always tell this story. You know what story I'm about to tell. Sebring called me, man, in 2002 when you got to Norfolk State. I was on the road with the cadets. I was marching the cadets that summer. I just so happened to call home with Seb to check in on the trumpet section. After all that bullshit that happened, where I didn't get section leader, my job was to support my friend because Sebring was my friend first before he was my section leader. So I called home and I was like, see, man, how everything going? First thing out of Sebring's mouth, man, band sound good. But we got this freshman, bro. This dude is articulating on double E's. And I'm like, man, you lying. He was like, bro, this dude is incredible. So that relationship, I had an expectation of you, Julian, before I even knew who the heck you was. And they were telling you about, we got this cute dude and all that, whatever. But there was an expectation that was established. Sebring said, if you're going to be in the Dizzy-Ax, you're going to know your damn music. We ain't going to whip your ass. You're going to know your damn music. You're going to march your tail off on the field. and you're going to be a great member of this band. You're going to advance the Dizzy Ascension. You're going to be a part of the family. That was the expectation. We ain't never haze y'all. Hazing for us was holding them damn wings up while you was playing the music. That was our hazing. So
Stephen hit me a few times.
Right.
I ain't never put my hands on you, boy.
Stephen established what the standard was. And if you were in that section, you could only meet that standard. There was no other option. And we will ostracize you if you did not meet that standard. What schools do you see that now? Most of these kids think in order to have that same level of expectation, you got to beat the hell out of them. I never got touched to be in college. I remember people used to make fun of us when that ESPN thing came out.
You safe haven, baby.
We're the safe haven of band. People made fun of us, but how many could outplay us? I'll wait. We used to beg to see Southern. When we was down there in 03, they was over there hating on the sideline, and we turned right towards them and played that turn on the action. And won't no hating after that. Man, these bands need to step their game up, man. Stop living off the past.
Shots fired.
That's it, bro. Stop treating our people like we're fucking coons, because we're not. Have higher expectations for your people, man. Treat your people better. I'm done, man. I'm sorry.
All right. I would ask if anybody got any closing remarks on that topic, but I guess he just did a mic drop on all of us. So if you're just tuning in, man, welcome everybody to Talk That Talk, where we have unscripted, as you can see, unfiltered, as you can see, and sometimes uncomfortable conversations about music education, band, HBCU band culture, and more. Please make sure that you subscribe to the channel, man. As I always say, we're going to make sure that we upload more and more content. There's a lot more content coming, a lot more things that we have in mind. As you are in here, please make sure that you smash that like button. Let's get these likes up. Let's get the likes up. All right. Remember, it don't take much to click a like button. All right. Also, if you want to get in on any of the topics, if you want to go back and forth with us very quickly, I made sure that I put the link inside of the chat just to make sure that the cameras are on. All right. Before we do anything else, we were supposed to do it at the head of the show, but I didn't get a chance to put it up there. Rick, do you want to talk about this for a second, or? There we go.
Yeah, man. So there are so many HBCU style band programs at the high school level that, that want to be better and want to do great things. So here's a perfect opportunity. US Bands is partnering with Blue Devils Entertainment to create like a nationwide band circuit. And in particular, they are forming a new circuit that caters to show style and traditional style bands. So basically, this will be treated just like the core style competition you would go to, or BOA. You will have a panel of judges that will actually give you feedback, not say, oh, you better just because you better. They'll actually give you feedback and give you information that will help make your band better. It's happening October 30th at Prairie View A&M. They have partnered with Prairie View A&M. Thank you to Dr. Zachary. It's a vision we had when we were there, and it's finally coming true. So if you're a band director in the Houston, Louisiana, Mississippi area, and you actually want to get some quality adjudication and just get some people to see your bands that are not just going to give you a runaround or treat you different because you're a show style band, then please consider participating. We're still looking for bands to participate as well. So October 30th at Prairie View A&M. Please come out and let's have a good time and see some good bands.
Say, Rick, can other bands come and just sit and watch, or is it cool?
Yeah, no, it's open to the public, man. You can buy tickets if you want to do like a situation, Quan. I'm sure there'll be some type of group rate, but yeah, man, bring your bands. PV is performing at the end, so if you want to get a nice college band experience, this is a perfect opportunity to do so. And I think it's just huge for our community, man, because now we're saying if you're a show style band, you don't have to change your style at the end of the year. to be adjudicated by some people that have no experience in your culture and put you down to these other bands because they have no idea what you do. Now we're saying you get the same quality of adjudication from people that come from the same community that you do. So it's going to be a big thing, and I hope a lot of bands decide to participate.
All right. We got a guest coming in. Welcome, Walter.
Oh Lord! Oh, Lord. Hang the phone up! Y'all done let three of these monkeys in this doggone.
Whoa!
That's my guy right there, Walter. What's up, my brother?
What's up, y'all? It's good to see everybody.
Same, man.
Man,
Oh, go ahead. I was gonna say, what's your thoughts on any of the topics?
yeah, no, I was just I put it in the comments, but I going back to what Rick said, I think it's on the band directors too. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, man, Prof Ed, and even when Doc got there, some of the stuff and Maya knows this, some of the stuff that we tried to put on the field, they was like, nah, that's we not about to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like we got a brand, we got a show, you know, style that we are used to and that you know, our university is used to putting on. And so they was like, no, we're not gonna do that. So it was that's what I was saying, like the whole, you know, fat people to the front for the band dance and everything. No, we wasn't doing none of that. Like it was, if we was gonna get house, it was gonna be because the show was good, not because we had a gimmick. You know what I'm saying?
And kudos to you, Walter, man. I gotta put it out there, man. You know, you already know how I feel about you, man, but I'm gonna put it out there for the world. So when we arrived, when Julie and I and Doc, the whole staff arrived at Prairie View,
You about to tell the truth
I'm
about
about to tell. I mean, this is my story right here.
Look, he
This
came
my
up
boy right
to
here.
my school last year, and I told him about himself too. But go ahead.
This motherfucker down here in the bottom left-hand corner of my screen was one of the biggest headaches that we had at that university, but became one of my best friends out of that whole band. And Walter is one of those people, from my experience as his band director his last year in the band. He's one of those people that he gonna tell you how it is regardless. You either gonna like it or you're not, but he gonna shoot straight with you. But at the end, that brother loved Prairie View. We ain't had to say, Walter, take off that damn Southern shirt at a Prairie View band rehearsal. We ain't had to say love your band and have appreciation for your band. And in my opinion, it's people like Walter and Maya and a few other people that really made it possible for us to mold the band in our own image. And they fought that stuff all the way, man. We talking about playing with clarity and not playing as loud as humanly possible. They're like, what?
I remember I could tell you the first time I realized who Walter was when we were going over the fucking, I think it was E.T. and I was trying to put the articulation into it. And at the first rehearsal we had, and Walter was looking like, the fuck is this? they were used to coming out just blowing it, just the way it was. And when we started putting that articulation in that, they was looking at us crazy. But you're absolutely right about Walter, man. I told him the same thing when he came to see me last year.
Like, I mean, I think Walter, man, and you know, look at the fruits of the labor. I'm sure, you know, there's things that they do that, you know, alumni still don't like, but the point of the matter is they created a band program that was in the likeness of the director that they have. He's not Prof Ed, he's not Gordon, he's not me, he's not nobody, he's him. And I think the product that they put out every year is a quality product that, you know, just like any other band could be better, but having alumni like you that actually cared about the program helped us instill pride in being a member of the Storm rather than idolizing other bands all the time. I mean, we all like clips from other bands, but
right,
you know, it's people like you, bro, that made that job both hard but also rewarding, man. So
I appreciate that, man. And going to what you're saying there, like I think that's a lot of the band, and I'm far removed from the band culture now, but you know, just from the outside looking in, that's the issue that I see with the band culture right now. It's like now everybody wants to be someone else instead of staying true to, you know, what your band was traditionally. I mean, why did you come to this band if you didn't want to be a part of the tradition that this band was built upon? You know what I'm saying? And that's what for me, you know, every time I see PV these days, like I don't have a bad thing to say. You know what I'm saying? Like we marched in the era that we marched in, and it was what it was. We had a great time. That's what it was, you know what I'm saying? And I hate sometimes, and I'm gonna dive into PV land for a minute. Sometimes I hate when I hear, people that's a little older than Maya and myself and Quan talk about their heydays like they was just amazing, because half of the motherfuckers could never.
It was trash. It was trash.
Hey, Julian, what we always tell him, please show me that clip you talking about where that day you were in was better
trash, bro.
If you don't got no clip,
Yeah. And you know what I'm saying? I think all three of us that marched in that era, we all have, heyday clips that we can pull up or great, great times. But that's what it was, Things have to evolve, things have to change. Nothing can stay the same. You're gonna end up like, one of these bands that completely fall off. So
I mean, the other part of it too, Walter, was like Seaver was talking about earlier, the family component. Yeah, I would yell and scream, I would do all that, even as a new dude, but y'all know I rolled for y'all.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, I remember when I passed that, because y'all kept saying, man, we need some stuff that rides. So I wrote that what was the name of that Johnny Gill song?
Oh yeah, that rub you the right way.
Right. And like that was the jam. Everybody like, play that rub you the right way. Like it was like that type of thing. Like you gotta. One thing I'll say about the SWAC, bro. If you're not from the SWAC, you gotta learn how to be in the SWAC, bro. Because it's a completely different experience.
Yeah,
I had in Norfolk.
And it is that family thing is a thing. And y'all caught me actually. I came from the gym, but I'm wearing my section shirt that we did a couple of years ago. And that's honestly, if I can say anything, and like I said, outside looking in, I'm so far removed from the band world. But if I can say anything on the generation now, I don't see the family aspect of it. And that could just be because I'm so far removed. But like my section, just for instance, we literally have a running chat that we have from like everybody from like 98 to everybody from like 2016. And we still talk, like we still link up for games, like we still, even in regular life, like we check on each other and stuff. And I don't see that happening nowadays.
I don't know what the culture is now, man. I know, they have the thing about it now too, y'all, is that COVID has really changed how a lot of these bands operate. I can only speak for my band, Stephen, I'm sure you can do for Norfolk, but bro, we don't allow alumni around our band at all. We operate in a bubble. So if you're not in our everyday bubble, unfortunately we can't let those people around the band, because we don't want to have a situation where at my school, bro, if we get cases, they shutting it down. And then PV, I saw PV had a young man die not too long ago. Like we just gotta be real careful with how, a lot of these bands. So maybe the family, I don't know, but I'm sure that has something to do with it, man.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts, Walter, before you tip on out?
That's it, man. I just wanted to say, I love what y'all doing, man. I'm gonna keep tuning in.
Most definitely appreciate.
Well, I'm gonna keep talking that shit too.
Hey, now I can talk with the best of them for sure.
Absolutely.
Get you back in here, man.
All right, bro.
I appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Boo Boo Kitty, you tired? She ain't ignoring me, y'all.
She ain't ignoring you. Anyway, anyway, man, let's get ready to go ahead and get on out of here. Anyway, man, it was a great show. Any final thoughts for the culture? Let's go around the room as we always do. Quan.
I mean, hey, just keep growing, keep learning, man. Keep pushing the culture and keep asking questions, dog. Like for real, keep asking questions. And Rick, answer my text message, dog. Just because I'm an alpha, dog.
Quan, you did not text me, dog. Don't even try it.
Right.
He don't answer text messages that quick. No, it's good.
And I already told you. I know what you talking. I already told you I would do it. So you being funny.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just period. I just be like, hey.
He's phony in text messages. I'm telling you.
I am, though, but I be hitting you back.
I'm his best friend. I didn't know this dude since I was 18. He don't text me back either like that. I'll send him a text, and then it'll take him 2 days, and then I'll call him, and I'll be like, "Yo, you get my text? No, I ain't get your text. No, I sent you a text 2 days ago."
I'm gonna say this and I'm out.
No, I'm a full-time professor
cool,
and a grad student. Give me a chance.
It's Cool to Be Southern is one of my favorite songs by Prairie View. I Red Talk the last past couple of years. I'm happy they brought it back. Red Talk.
Are they playing it again?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they play.
All right.
Yeah.
Hold up. Let me do it right.
What's good, Ma?
Boo Boo Kitty.
Any final thoughts, Maya?
I mean, just same as always. What we're doing here is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. We have more people coming. The conversations are getting deeper, a little bit more, explicit, but that means it's a little bit more real. So we just got to keep doing what we're doing. Again, put your money where your mouth is. Support where you can, whether it's traveling, whether it's whatever the case may be. Being a part of the alumni associations, all of that, we just got to do what we have to do to be able to push the culture forward.
All right. Sebring, any final thoughts? Our guest panelist for today. Appreciate you coming in, by the way, bro.
No problem at all. Not really, don't drink the Kool-Aid. Always know you can get better. Sometimes we drink the Kool-Aid and we think we have arrived. I don't think that's a place. I don't think there's a destination. So keep moving.
All right. Rick?
So last week I said it, I'm gonna say it again, man. I'm going home, actually driving home tomorrow, man. But I want to say rest in peace to my cousin again, man. Biggest influence in my life at the beginning, as far as my cousin taught me how to fight, all that stuff, man. He was my guy, man, and he passed way too soon, 44 years old. So I want to say first, rest in peace to my cousin Lou, man. We coming home to celebrate you tomorrow. That was my guy. I love you, bro. So start there. Secondly, I want to thank my man Sebring for coming in tonight and all the panelists, man. Y'all really make this thing worthwhile. I don't think we give each other enough credit, being in here after long ass days at work, so kudos to y'all. Sebring, man, I was talking to Julian, man. We want to have you on for another show just to reminisce on some of them old days, bro.
They old too.
There's some stories there, man. But
we're putting together some thoughts on that.
Yeah. So kudos to you, man.
I'm here.
So as I always do, support Black, like Maya said, support Black business, support Black everything, because the only way we're going to make each other better is to put our money behind the things that we know will improve our community. We can't expect people to give us anything. So I am a member of the Norfolk State Alumni Association. I will continue to be forever. I need to start donating to the band now individually on top of that. So kudos to what y'all doing at Norfolk. I love it. And then finally, y'all, let's treat Black people better. We look at the news, we see one of us get killed by a cop or something like that, and the first thing we want to do is go out in the street and protest, and then 5 minutes later we forget. If we treat each other better, then we will expect for other people to have that same treatment of us, and they will see it and in turn do it, in my opinion. So treat Black people better if you say you love your people. And that includes with these bands and all these other things, man. Let's just be better to one another. So that's it.
All right. And finally, a couple of things that I want to just go ahead and say. First thing, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel. All of these videos are up. This live is going to be up. It's going to stay up for a while. I'm going to continue to upload videos as the week goes by. I missed a couple of days, but don't worry. We're going to be back on that. Once again, we got a whole bunch of things coming down the pipeline. Earlier, I saw Bailey in here. I don't know if he's still in here, but big shout out to you, Bailey. We still want to continue to help support his program as he's trying to get funding for his instruments and things of that nature. So please, let's help to support that program as well. Also, please make sure if you're inside of this live right now, share this. Go ahead and share it. Put it out to people, man. We want to get as many people in on this conversation as possible. I also want to give a big shout out to Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma. I feel like we got to do that every now and then, man, because it's the band programs and we support those band programs. So I want to give a big shout out to Kappa Kappa Psi and Tau Beta Sigma, and because we are in here right now, to the Symphonians of the world. We want to make sure we do that as well. So showing love to everybody. This has been a great show. I appreciate everybody who stuck with us, everybody who hung with us, gave all the comments in the world. I want to appreciate Walter for coming in and chatting it up with us. All right.
Ron, you just threw the SG Row sign. I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Hey, look, he on mute. He smitted himself. And look, he my chapter bro.
Right.
All right, man. I appreciate you guys, man. We'll check you all next week.
Boo Boo Kitty, you go?
No, but I'm about to be. Y'all had me on here all night.